You're not invisible. You've just been measuring your value in a place that was never designed to hold it. And the longer you do that, the smaller your life starts to feel. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't feel invisible because others ignore them. They feel invisible because they've made people the authority over their worth. And people are terrible at that. They're distracted, inconsistent, focused on themselves. So if your value depends on their attention, you will always feel like you're disappearing. Maybe you felt this. You're in the room, but not really seen. People talk past you. They don't ask about you. They forget to include you. Not intentionally, but consistently. And at first, it's small. You brush it off. It's nothing. It doesn't matter. But it keeps happening. Quietly. Repeatedly. And eventually, it stops being a moment. It becomes a question. Do I even matter? And the hardest part? It's not rejection. Rejection is clear. At least you know where you stand. This is different. This is silence. Absence. Being overlooked without explanation. And that kind of invisibility, it builds, slowly, until one day you realize you've started changing. You talk less. You share less. You expect less. Because it feels safer than being unseen again. And here's where it gets dangerous. You don't just feel invisible. You start living invisible, not because you lack value, but because you stopped believing in it. This is where most people miss it. You think you're reacting to what people are doing, but you're not. You're reacting to what you believe it means about you, and those are not the same thing. Let's make this real. Imagine two people, same environment, same silence, same experience of being overlooked, but their lives go in completely different directions. The first person internalizes it. If people don't see me, I must not be worth seeing. So they shrink, they hold back, they stop showing up fully, not because they want to disappear, but because it hurts to feel invisible again. So they protect themselves by becoming smaller. And slowly, their world becomes smaller too. Now meet the second person, same experience, same silence, but a different source. They don't let the room define them, because they've already settled something deeper. Even if people don't see me, God does, and that changes how they move. They still feel it, but they don't shrink. They don't disappear. They keep showing up, because their value is not being decided in that moment. So what makes the difference? It's not confidence. It's not personality. It's not how many people are around them. It's one belief. Where does my value come from? Here's another truth most people won't say. You can be noticed more and still feel invisible, because attention cannot fix a misplaced identity. That means this. Even if people start including you, affirming you, paying attention to you, it still won't be enough. Not because something is wrong with you, but because you're asking the wrong place to define something it was never meant to define. This is not a visibility problem. It's a source problem. And this is where everything begins to shift. You are not trying to get people to see you. You are learning to live from the reality that you are already seen. Fully, right now. But here's the tension. It's easy to hear that. It's hard to feel it, because your experience says something else. People don't respond. They don't notice. They don't affirm. So your mind trusts experience more than truth, because experience is loud, and truth feels quiet. So what happens? You start building identity from repetition. They didn't notice. They didn't respond. I didn't matter. And slowly that becomes, I'm not someone people notice. And once that belief forms, everything filters through it. Even the good moments, even when someone does see you, it doesn't land because your mind rejects it. That doesn't count. They're just being nice. So the belief stays and the feeling stays. Now you're stuck in a loop, not because it's true, but because it feels consistent. This might change how you see everything. Consistency of feeling does not equal truth. It just means repetition. And here's the truth that changes everything. You don't feel invisible because you lack value. You feel invisible because you've been looking for confirmation in a place that was never meant to define you. Once you see that, you start noticing the pattern. In conversations, in silence, in your own reactions. And in the next part, we're going to break this down completely. Not just what's happening, but why it keeps happening. Why even when people notice you, it still doesn't feel like enough. And once you see that clearly, you won't just understand the feeling, you'll know exactly how to break it. So now, let's go deeper. Because if this were just about people not noticing you, then more attention would fix it. But it doesn't. And you already know that. You can be surrounded by people and still feel invisible. You can be acknowledged and still feel unseen. You can even be valued and somehow not feel it. So what's actually going on? Here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't an attention problem. It's an interpretation problem. Every moment you experience, your mind assigns meaning to it. Automatically. Fast. Without asking permission. Someone doesn't respond. They didn't see me. That's the first layer. But then it goes deeper. This must mean something about me. And that's where everything changes. Because now it's not just an event, it's identity. So instead of, that moment didn't go how I expected, it becomes, I'm not someone people notice. Instead of, they didn't respond, it becomes, I don't matter. And once that belief forms, your mind starts collecting evidence. Every silence confirms it. Every missed response reinforces it. Every overlooked moment strengthens it. And here's what makes it dangerous. You stop questioning it because it feels consistent. And anything that feels consistent feels true. But read this slowly. Consistency of feeling does not equal truth. It just means repetition. Right now, think about this. How many moments have you interpreted negatively without actually knowing what they meant? That question alone can break the pattern. Now watch what happens next. Even when something good happens, someone notices you, includes you, affirms you. It doesn't land because it conflicts with the belief you've already built, so your mind filters it. That doesn't count. They're just being nice, so the belief stays protected and the feeling stays the same. This is why more attention doesn't fix it, because the issue is not what's happening around you, it's what's happening inside you. And here's where it goes deeper. This pattern doesn't stay in your relationships. It follows you into your faith. When you pray and don't feel anything, it reinforces it. Maybe God doesn't see me either. When your life feels quiet, ordinary, unnoticed, it reinforces it. Maybe I don't matter that much. And now your experience becomes your lens, not truth, not reality, but interpretation. Here's a controversial truth most people avoid. Sometimes it's not that people are overlooking you. It's that they're simply living their lives. And you've been making it about your worth. That's not harsh. It's freeing, because it means their behavior is not a measurement of your value. Another hard truth. You don't actually know what most moments mean. You've just been deciding what they mean based on how they feel. Right now, stop. The next time someone doesn't respond, don't explain it. Don't define it. Just let it exist. That single pause can break years of false belief. Because this is the trap, you're not experiencing reality. You're experiencing your interpretation of it. And once you see that, everything opens up. Because now you realize, I don't actually know what this means. And that creates space. So what actually needs to change? Not your environment first, your source. Because as long as you look to people to confirm your value, you will always feel unstable. People are inconsistent, busy, distracted, focused on their own lives. And if your identity depends on that, you will always feel like you're disappearing. But when your source changes, everything changes. You stop asking, do they see me? And you start living from, I am already seen. Not emotionally at first, but intentionally. Because here's the truth, God sees you, not generally, not vaguely, but personally, fully, right now. And once that becomes your starting point, your interpretation begins to change. Moments don't define you anymore. Silence doesn't shrink you. Absence doesn't erase you. Trendsatz, min. But this is not automatic. You have to practice it in real time, in real moments. And that's what we're going to do next. Because in the next part, I'm going to give you 5 simple switches. Practical. Immediate. Something you can use the exact moment you start to feel invisible again. And once you start applying them, you won't just understand this truth. You'll start living from it. So now this is where everything becomes real, not when you understand it, but when the feeling shows up again. Because it will. That moment when no one responds, no one notices, no one includes you. And that quiet thought appears, I'm invisible. That's the moment. Right there, that's where the shift happens. So here are 5 powerful switches you can start using immediately. Not perfectly, but consistently. Asterisk switch 1. From do they see me? Temporary, you stop asking the room to define your value. And you anchor it in something deeper. Asterisk, real life. You're overlooked. Instead of shrinking internally, you say, I am seen right now. Not because you feel it, but because it's true. Asterisk prayer. God, help me remember you see me. Asterisk switch 2. From shrink, stay present. Feeling invisible makes you disappear. This stops that pattern. Ask, real life. Asterisk, you feel ignored in a conversation. Instead of pulling back, you stay engaged. You don't force attention. You simply don't remove yourself. Asterisk prayer, God, help me stay present. Asterisk switch 3. From meaning, maybe. This breaks the mental loop. You stop assigning negative meaning instantly. Asterisk real life. Asterisk they didn't respond. You nod or shift to. Maybe that's not what this means. That single word maybe creates space. And space breaks the pattern. Asterisk prayer. God help me not believe every thought. Asterisk switch 4. From people equals source, God equals source. This is the core shift. Because as long as people are your source, you will always feel unstable. Asterisk real life. You feel the urge to check if someone noticed you. Instead of chasing it, you pause. My value is not coming from this moment. And you redirect your focus. Asterisk prayer. God, you are my source. Asterisk switch 5. From unseen nowist. This goes deeper than visibility, because being seen is one thing, being known is another. And God doesn't just see you, He knows you. Fully, completely. Asterisk real life. You feel misunderstood. Instead of spiraling, you remind yourself, I am fully known even here. And something settles. Asterisk prayer. God, thank you for knowing me. Now watch what begins to happen when you live like this, not perfectly, but consistently. You stop shrinking, not because people suddenly notice you more, but because your identity is no longer tied to it. You stop overreacting to silence, because silence no longer defines you. You stop chasing validation, because you're no longer empty without it. And slowly, everything changes. You begin to show up without needing approval, feel steady even when overlooked. Stop overinterpreting every moment. Live with quiet confidence. Here's a truth you need to hear clearly. You are not invisible. The feeling is real, but the meaning you've attached to it is not. Another uncomfortable truth, you don't need more people to see you. You need to stop letting people define you. Right now you can shift, not by forcing attention, not by changing everyone around you, but by changing your source. You can whisper, God, even when I feel unseen, I know you see me. And let that be enough. Stop waiting for a moment to prove your worth. You are not one conversation away from finally mattering. You already do. If this message spoke to you, do one thing right now. Go down to the comments and type, I am already seen. Not just as a sentence, but as a decision. And if you know someone who feels overlooked, share this with them. Because they don't need more attention. They need a news source. If you want more simple, freeing, life-changing truths, subscribe and turn on the notification bell. Because you don't have to keep shrinking. You don't have to keep searching. You don't have to keep feeling invisible. You are already seen. I'll see you in the next one.